नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Welcome all of you to our Bhagavad Gita daily reading session. Today is our 16th day. We are reading the introduction portion. Yeah, so last last day we had seen, last day we had seen, just give me a second. Yeah, last day we had seen that, those whose intelligence are stolen, they worship the demigods. And Krishna basically comes to this material world and performs his pleasure pastimes. Yeah, so I have to unmute. I have to mute. So Vivek Prabhu, some sounds are coming, so I'm muting you. Yeah, sorry. So we have seen how Krishna comes to this material world and performs his pleasure pastime to attract everyone. And in those pastimes, he is also discouraging demigod worship. He discouraged Nanda Maharaj to worship Indra. So Krishna's instruction, to us to worship only the Supreme Lord. Who is the Supreme Lord? Lord Krishna himself. Because our ultimate goal can be attained by worshipping him. So that is the teaching given in the Bhagavad Gita. So let us begin. So today we will see the nature of the spiritual world and the material world. Na tad bhasayate suryo na sasanka na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Na tad bhasayate suryo na sasanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशांको न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. That supreme abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon nor by fire or electricity. न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशांको न पावकः. न सूर्यो, no sun, no sasanko, no moon, no pavakaha, no fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. That abode, that supreme abode is mine. Tad dhama paramam mama. This verse gives a description of that eternal sky. Of course, we have a material conception of the sky. And we think of it in relationship to the sun, moon, stars, and so on. But in this verse, the Lord states that in the eternal sky, there is no need for the sun, nor for the moon, nor electricity or fire of any kind, because the spiritual sky is already illuminated by the Brahma Jyoti, the rays emanating from the Supreme Lord. We have a conception of material sky. We cannot think of any material world without sun, moon, stars, electricity, fire, all these things. But the spiritual sky, there is no need. But you can say, oh, if there is no sun, no moon, no electricity, is it complete darkness over there? No, no, no. This is fully illuminated by Brahma Jyoti. What is Brahma Jyoti? These are the bodily effulgences. These rays coming out from the body of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So the Brahma Jyoti are so effulgent, there is no need for the sun, moon, electricity. Actually, all these planets, they inherit also the light from this Brahma Jyoti. That is the source of main light. We are trying with difficulty to reach other planets, but it is not difficult to understand the abode of the Supreme Lord. This abode is referred to as Golaka. Goloka. In the Brahma Samhita 5.37, it is beautifully described, Golaka eva nivasati akhilatma bhutaha. So it is not very difficult to know, where is Golaka. Because it has been said in Brahma Samhita. So the Supreme Lord Krishna, he lives in Golaka planets. The Lord desires eternally in his abode Golaka. Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhuta. Yet he can be approached from this world. And to this end, the Lord comes to manifest his real form, Satchidananda Vigraha. So from that far end, he comes to this material world, manifest himself. And when he manifests himself, his body also remains same, Satchidananda Vigraha. Although he appears in human form, his body is not like all of us, made of a flesh, bone, not that. His body still remains the Satchidananda Vigraha. When he manifests this form, there is no need for our imagining what he looks like. To discourage such imaginative speculation, he descends and exhibits himself as he is, as Syama Sundara. He resides in Golaka, the same form as Syama Sundara, he also manifests in this material world, so that we need not to imagine how God should be looking like. He exhibits himself as he is. His original form as Syama Sundara. He manifests the same form in the material world also. You see how beautiful the Lord is. Unfortunately, the less intelligent deride him because he comes as one of us and plays with us as a human being. Avajananti mam mudha manusim tanum asritaha param bhavo ajananto mamabhuta maheswaram. Avajananti mam mudha, the less intelligent, avajananti, they will not be able to know me. Avajananti mam mudha. Manusim tanum asritam, because I take the human form, manusim tanum asrita. Parambhava ajananto, they do not know my transcendental nature. Mamabhuta maheshwaram, they do not know me as Maheshwar, the supreme controller. They are mudha, because less intelligent. But because of this, we should not consider the Lord one of us. It is by his omnipotency that he presents himself in his real form before us and displays his pastimes, which are replicas of those pastimes found in his abode. So, people think, oh, Krishna is having same two hands, same two legs. He's looking like us. So how come he will be God? Oh, it is his mercy, that he has given you the same form like him. we human beings are given the same form like him, 2 hands, 2 legs. It is out of his causeless mercy. And he comes to this world in the same form so as to exchange with us very sweet pastimes. Otherwise, if someone will come with 4 hands, 4 legs, and all these things, you cannot really personalize, you cannot share a personalized, intimate relationship with him. Difficult. In the effulgent rays of the spiritual sky, there are innumerable planets floating. The Brahma Jyotir emanates from the supreme abode Krishna Loka, and the Anandamaya, Chinmaya planets, which are not material, float in those rays. In the spiritual sky, there are also many, many planets. They are called Vaikuntha planets. So out of all the Vaikuntha planets, one supreme Vaikuntha planet is Golaka. Okay, and there are also many other planets. All the forms which Krishna manifests, they are eternally residing in the spiritual sky. Lord Narsimhadev, Lord Rama, Lord Baraha, Lord Vamana. There is individual planets for all of them. Okay? And Narayana, Lakshmi. So they are called Vaikuntha planets. And they are floating in the spiritual sky, and surrounded by the Brahma Jyoti. The Lord says, Na tadvasayate suryo na sasanka na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartate tadhama paramamama. One who can approach that spiritual sky is not required to descend again to the material sky. Na nivartante yad gatva. After going there, person will not return here. He will not descend again to the material sky. In the material sky, even if we approach the highest planet, Brahma Loka, what to speak of the moon? We will find the same conditions of life, namely birth, death, disease, and old age. Now, modern scientists are endeavoring how to make a living in moon. So, what to speak of moon? Even if we will be, let's assume that we have access to Brahma Loka, then also the same conditions, birth, death, disease, and old age will be there. Brahma bhuvanal loka punharavartino arjuna mam upetyatu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Brahma bhuvanal loka. Okay, right from the Brahma Loka to the Patal Loka, in all these 14 planetary systems, wherever you go, you will be kind of just only traveling up and down. There is still the same birth, death, disease, and old age. Maybe the duration of the life will increase, or the degree of happiness and suffering may differ in different planets, but they are still temporary. You will have still birth, death, disease, and old age. Okay. Like Brahma, he is having a very high duration life, but still there is a beginning and end. No planet in the material universe is free from these 4 principles of material existence. What are those 4 principles? Birth, death, disease, and old age. The living entities are traveling from one planet to another, but it is not that we can go to any planet we like merely by a mechanical arrangement. If we desire to go to other planet, there is a process for going there. This is also mentioned. In the Bhagavad Gita, this process is mentioned. How we can go to other planets? Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pritivrata bhutani yanti bhutejya. Bhutani yanti bhutejya. Then what is it? Bhutani yanti bhutejya. So last line I'm forgetting. Let's leave it. Okay, no mechanical arrangement is necessary if we want interplanetary travel. No mechanical arrangement is necessary if we want interplanetary travel. The Gita instructs Yanti deva vrata devan. The moon, the sun, and higher planets are called Swargaloka. There are three different statuses of planets: higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The Earth belongs to middle planetary systems. Okay, so these 14 planetary systems are also divided into three. What the planets which are above the Earth, there are 6 planets above Earth. They are called upper planetary system, and Earth is middle. And then there are 7 lower planets. They are called lower planetary systems. Yeah. Yanti deva vrata devan, pitrin yanti pritivrata, bhutani yanti bhutechya, yanti madhya jinopi mam. Yes. This is like this. So Bhagavad Gita informs us how to travel to the higher planetary systems, Devaloka, with a very simple formula. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. One need only worship that particular demigod of that particular planet. And in that way, go to the moon, the sun, or any of the higher planetary system. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. If someone will worship that particular demigod, he will go to that planet. If somebody will worship the sun god, he will go to sun planet. If somebody worships moon god, he will go to moon planet. Yet, Bhagavad Gita does not advise us to go to any of the planets in this material world. Because Brahma Bhavana Loka Punar Avartinarjuna. So, Bhagavad Gita discourages us to go to any other planets in the material world because they will have the same 4 principles: birth, death, disease, and old age. Because even if we go to Brahma Loka, the highest planet, through some sort of mechanical contrivance by maybe traveling for 40,000 years, and who would live that long? So it's difficult. Even by mechanical arrangements, it's difficult to go to Brahma Loka. Because how many years it might take? 40,000 years by traveling. So who will live that long? But even though, let's assume, we find ourselves in the Brahma Loka, we still will find the material inconveniences of birth, death, disease, and old age. So what's the point? But one who wants to approach the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, or any other planet within the spiritual sky, will not meet with these material inconveniences. It's not that only Krishna Loka or Golaka. Any planets in the spiritual sky, any Vaikuntha planet in the spiritual sky, because in the spiritual sky there are only Vaikuntha planets, unlimited Vaikuntha planets. So whichever Vaikuntha planets you enter, they are free of these material inconveniences. Amongst all of the planets in the spiritual sky, there is one supreme planet called Goloka Vrindavan, the original planet in the abode of the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. His own Swayam Rupa, as Sri Krishna, Shyama Sundara form. In that form, he resides in Goloka Vrindavan. And in many other planets, Vaikuntha planets, he resides in different forms. All of this information is given in Bhagavad Gita, and we are given through its instruction, information how to live the material world and begin a truly blissful life in the spiritual sky. There is only blissful life in the spiritual sky. There is no suffering. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the real picture of the material was given. Now, let us see how material world looks like. Urdhva moolam adha sakham aswastham prahur abhyam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda savedavid. Urdhva moolam adha sakham aswastham prahur abhyam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda savedavid. Here, the material world is described as a tree. Urdha moolam adha sakham. Is described as a tree whose roots are upward. Adha sakham urdha moolam. urdhvamulam, roots upward, and branches are below, adha sakham. We have experience of a tree whose roots are upward. Yeah, when the tree is reflected in water, in the bank of a river, if you find some tree, and we can see that those reflections are visible in the water, and there the root is upward and branches are downward. If one stands on the bank of the river or any reservoir of water, we can see that the trees reflected in the water are upside down. The branches go downward and the roots are upward. Similarly, this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is but a shadow of reality. So this material world is nothing but a shadow of the spiritual world. In the shadow, there is no reality or substantiality. But from the shadow, we can understand that there are substance and reality. Although the shadow is devoid of any reality or substantiality, there is no substance in it, but still it is useful. Because we can understand that there is a substance and there is a reality, and of which this shadow is a shadow. So shadow, without the substance, we cannot have shadow. Because there is a substance and there is a reality, that's the reason the shadow occurs. In the desert, there is no water, but the mirage suggests that there is such a thing as water. In the material world, there is no water, there is no happiness, but the real water of actual happiness is there in the spiritual world. Although with our repeated endeavoring, we are baffled. We are not able to get happiness in this material world. Although we are not able to get happiness in this material world, but there is actual happiness in the spiritual world, of which we see some reflection here. We see some reflection here. But unending happiness we are not able to experience here. We can experience some reflection only. But the important point of the shadow is, when you follow the shadow, where shadow ends, there the real substance begins. That is the usefulness of shadow. The Lord suggests that we attain the spiritual world in the following manner. Nirmana moha jitasanga dosa adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandair vimuktaha sukha dukha samagyair gachanti amudha padam abhyam tat. Nirmana moha jitasanga dosa adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandair vimuktaha sukha dukha samagyair gachanti amudha padam abhyam tat. Then how to get to this spiritual world? How to get an entry to the spiritual world? That padam abhyam, or eternal kingdom, abhyam padam, that eternal kingdom can be reached by one who is nirmana moha. There is no mana, there is no moha. Mana means what? Designation, respect, expectation of getting respect. What does this mean? We are after designation. Someone wants to become sir, someone wants to become lord, someone wants to become the president, or a rich man, or a king, or something else. This is very true. We all need different designations. We are hankering for it. As long as we are attached to these designations, we are attached to the body. Moha. Why we hanker for designations? Because we are attached to this body. Because designations belong to only the body. But we are not these bodies. And realizing this is the first stage in spiritual realization. We are not the bodies, we are the living souls. That realization is the first stage in the spiritual realization. Unless and until someone has this knowledge, he cannot begin spiritual practices. This is the first stage in spiritual realization. We are associated with the three modes of material nature, but we must become detached through devotional service to the Lord. How? Means in this material world, we are associated with the three modes of material nature. Three modes of material nature, sattva, raja, tama, they are binding us and they are influencing our activities. How should we act or not? When mode of passion binds us, then we are very attached to the objects. We hanker for pleasures and all sorts of things. Yeah. So how will be detached? Through the devotional service to the Lord. In 14th chapter, Lord says, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sa etan samati taitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Mang chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Avyabhicharana bhakti. Avyabhicharena bhakti. That means unadulterated love. Or devotional service unto Krishna. Ananya bhakti. Pure devotional service. Through that, one can transcend the modes of material nature and can be situated in Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness, which is beyond this material modes. If we are not attached to devotional service to the Lord, then we cannot become detached from the modes of material nature. Otherwise, there is no other possibility. Designation and attachments are due to our lust and desire, our wanting to lord it over the material nature. As long as we do not give up this propensity of lording it over the material nature, there is no possibility of returning to the kingdom of the Supreme, the Sanatana Dhamma. That eternal kingdom which is never destroyed can be approached by one who is not bewildered by the attractions of false material enjoyment. This is very important. One who is not bewildered by the attractions of false material enjoyment, he can only make an entry to this eternal kingdom, who is situated in the service of the Supreme Lord. One so situated can easily approach that Supreme Abode. Today we have studied what is the characteristics of the Supreme Abode, and what is the characteristic of this material world, and how we can make an entry from this material world to the spiritual abode. The time is up. Thank you all very much. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all very much.